Hi, John.
Hi.
Are you enjoying?
It's very interesting actually, because this is the first time I've heard about what's happening in Lebanon. So I'm very interested in the discussion right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, we had a Syrian Filipino rapper also joining us. His name is Chinovation, Chino with a Y. And unfortunately, the Fridays for Future International, the 24-hour live stream, they just gave us a space at 6 a.m. And, rappers gotta sleep.
By the way, guys.
Yeah, Dorothea.
Sorry for we don't really realize when we dropped out of the meeting, but yeah.
Because we continued and then we realized that there's no connection. So
yeah, we're happy you guys are back.
That's the interest.
So were you able to join and catch in what we were saying afterwards, or you couldn't?
Where did you reach with us?
Yeah, that's the question.
You guys were talking about like how we were inspired by the YACAP defenders, and I mean the international and kind of character to this great fight we're all having. And so me and Andrew continued on the same drill. So I think we've said it all now, and it was we were waiting for Nauras to continue. Naufal to continue.
مرحبا جميعا من سامعيني. كيفكم؟ أنا نورس من سوريا. سوري بدي أحكي بالعربي، بس حبيت أحكي عن مشكلة المناخ اللي عندنا بسوريا من 2006. في أول مرحلة كانت 2006 ل 2011. هي نتيجة التغيير المناخي، تصحر، قلة الأمطار، والإدارة السيئة للحكومة، الإدارة البيئية السيئة للحكومة. كل هالشيء أدى إلى نزوح كثير من سكان الأرياف، تقريبا بحدود 1.5 مليون من السكان على المدينة. وهذا الشيء كمان سبب كثير ضغط بمراكز المدن، وأدى لكثير مشاكل. فكمان سبب زيادة بالمشاكل البيئية. وبال 2011 مثل ما الكل بيعرف بلشت الثورة بسوريا والأحداث اللي صارت بسوريا، وهذا الشيء زاد تفاقم المشاكل البيئية الموجودة من حيث استخدام جميع الأطراف المتنازعة على سوريا. يعني من 10 سنين تقريبا تم استخدام جميع أنواع الأسلحة، من كيميائية، من بيولوجية، من على مختلف الأراضي السورية. هذا الشيء أدى إلى كثير تلوث، وبيستمر تأثير هذه المواد لأكثر من 15 و20 سنة، وبلش تأثيرها على الناس وعلى الصحة على مدى طويل. وعدا عن هيك، من المشاكل اللي تركتها الحرب أو اللي سببتها الحرب هي قصف الآبار النفطية، وقصف المستشفيات، معامل الأدوية. كل هذا الشيء أدى إلى نشر كثير من المواد السامة على كل الأراضي السورية. وكمان استخدام الناس لهي الآبار النفطية وتكرير النفط الخام بطرق بدائية كثير أدى إلى كمان انتشار كثير من المواد السامة. ونتيجة عدم توافر المواد الأولية للناس كمان أدى إلى قطع كثير من الغابات والأشجار للناس تقدر تحصل على حطب لا تتدفى. فالوضع بسوريا حاليا مأساوي، ومثل ما نعرف إنه نحن كلنا عايشين على هذا الكوكب، فأي حدث بيئي غلط بصير بدولة فله تأثير على كل دول العالم. فهي المشاكل اللي أنا بشوفها صارت بسوريا، عدا من تلوث مياه، تلوث الهواء، تلوث التربة. طبعا هذول عم بحكي هون بضل تأثيرهم أكثر من 15 و 20 سنة. ونتيجة كمان سوء الأوضاع أو عدم الأمان، ما في تقدر سواء لجنة دولية أو الناشطين حقوقيين أو المهتمين بالبيئة يقدروا يعملوا زيارات لهي الأماكن ليحددوا المقدار الضرر بشكل تقريبي. فأول شيء بشكركم على هذا الاجتماع، ولازم هلا مثل ما قال أندري كمان لازم نحن نرجع للشيء الأصلي اللي كنا عايشينه من 20 و30 سنة، نرجع للطبيعة، نحترم الطبيعة وأمنا الأرض، ما نلوث، ما نكب، ما نقتل، ما نستهلك كثير مواد صناعية، ما نكب بلاستيك بالأرض. والكوكب كله غني، يعني الكرة الأرضية غنية بالموارد بتكفي كل الناس، بس علينا نحن أنه ننشر هذا الوعي بين كل العالم أنه نحن كلياتنا عايشين بكوكب واحد وكلياتنا ننتمي للجنس البشري. فهذا باختصار شديد، ما بدي أطول عليكم، وإن شاء الله تكونوا فهمتوا علي. اللي ما بيعرف يحكي عربي ما بعرف إذا بيقدر حدا بيترجم. فشكرا كثير لكم. ما بعرف إذا وصلت الفكرة.
شكرا نورس، وصلت
حبيبي
بقوة، وإن شاء الله من هلا وبالرايح بنشوف وجه سوريا الحلوة والأصلية يلي عم نحكي فيها، والأكل الطيب والألوان الفارحة، ويعني نرجع كيف كنا قبل. يعني لبنان إذا أخذت حصان بتوصل على سوريا، وللأسف يعني مش حلو الواحد يكون يعني كلبنانية مش حلو ما نكون قادرين نشوفكم بخير وعرفت تتأهلوا فينا يعني
الشعب
ما نحن
الشعب اللبناني كثير استقبلنا وكثير عملنا حلو. انا صار لي هون 5 سنين ما شفت غير كل الطيب وكل الاصاله منه. وهيدي الايام اللي عم تحكي عنها كنت عايشها من 20 سنه، كنت عايشها بالضيعه، ايام كنا نربي خيول ونزرع وناكل من الارض. بس للاسف نتيجه سوء المناخ اضطرينا ننتقل على المدينه، ننخرط بالشيء الصناعي والشيء اللي مو حلو، يعني غير صديق للبيئه. فان شاء الله بترجع اكيد بجهودكم ان شاء الله.
Thank you very, very much for this intervention. I really found it beautiful, and it brought back lots of childhood memories for me. So just to quickly summarize this in English, he was talking about how what's the situation in Syria regarding the environment and how the war affected it, basically.
Yeah, that's too quick, Isaac. So for those of you who couldn't understand the Arabic, I'm gonna go ahead and just bring back some of the most important points which I found in Nouras's speech intervention. And it's basically, he started talking about before the war, 2006, how we basically underwent the hardest drought in the region's history, or in modern history at least, in the past 100, 200 years, which stayed for almost 6 years. And it also affected Lebanon. And from this point, I think, or we understand from Nauras that people within Syria, in rural areas, had to move towards the already very dense and poverty-stricken urban areas of Syria. So there was an internal displacement of almost 1.5 million people. That is before 2011 and the revolution, and later on the war. And then he talks on a little bit about how the revolution failed, and goes on to say how the impact of the Syrian war is something that we should all be worried about, because these are since it was almost an experimental war where a lot of different materials, including chemical bombs and the biological and I mean just a wide range of destruction. All of these things, he says, are going to get they affect the water, the air, the CO2 emissions, and the land, which is something that we should all be worried about. And I definitely agree with that point. So yeah, that's a bit of I think a better summary than Isaac. Thank you anyway, Isaac, and everyone else. I think this is really a very important talk that that we're having. And if I just may say, if war has been a major sort of threat for everyone throughout, you know, the past 2,000 years in our history, or maybe longer, the new threat is climate, and that is becoming evident in the numbers, which unfortunately I haven't been able to look up before this talk, but I think someone, Isaac, might have. Anyhow, I think by now the number of refugees caused by climate-related disasters has increased. The number of people fleeing their homes due to armed conflicts, and this is not talked about nearly enough. Even the Syrian drought is not even mentioned within our local context, and that's a problem, because without understanding the roots of what causes violence, that maybe it is these basic necessities such as food and water, and you know, a wide range of human rights, which, for example, now in the Lebanese revolution of October 17, we are demanding, and I'm sure many people did in past revolutions, including that in Syria in 2011. These are very important, and we see that as the planet becomes warmer, less of our rights are guaranteed. More of the people that are already victims are going to be further victimized, and their numbers are going to increase. So we better act on science today and stop this as soon as possible. And I hope that once we are able to launch our campaign with regional partners, such as you have in YACAP, to be able to really pass on this message that there is no more time for war, there is no more time for enslavement and profit and fossil fuels. We have to think about how to feed the growing population and how to live all together in peace. I think this is one of our most important acts, which is the second one, how to live together. And maybe Michelle and Dorothea, you would like to speak back to us because your internet cut or something. We lost you before finishing.
Yes, and yes, as you were saying, Andrew, it's more about the collective thing and what we're all experiencing all the same. And whatever we can, what we're inspired in this moment, and this is what something we're inspired by Andres and the team of Friday for Future, is the ability to have direct impact on the ground, and direct impact with finding partners all over the world that we're able to talk and discuss about what we're doing and actually exchange the know-how and the resources within each other. And as Andres was proposing, that today, what we're doing with the White Flag is creating another platform for all people or all activists to actually come and unite under these acts, because with our unification, we can actually really achieve both, because it's no longer just like the fight in Philippines. Injustice is happening everywhere, in Syria, in Philippines, in Italy, in Chile, in Venezuela. It's happening all over the world, injustice, and we need to unite on it on different acts and find the resources how to promote these acts and having these impacts and sharing the impact within each other, because this is how we do small wins. It's really important for us to keep going step by step towards achieving our full activism.
So yeah, I think we all agree on the fact that all these problems are worldwide problems, and that the climate crisis is slowly but surely overtaking, and I mean not even that slowly, it's clearly like quickly taking over like the importance of all other problems, because we need to act now and time is running very short. And we also can like obviously tell that all these crises are linked up together, and to fight the climate crisis, we must also fight social inequalities. We must also help refugees. We must also provide food for everyone. And all these problems are like clearly linked together. Now, Midzi, you asked on the you asked before in the chat whether there'll be a question time. So if any of you have any question, you can feel free to ask, and the person you're asking to will obviously answer to the best of their capacities.
Yeah, if I may just add something small before Mitzi, and
yes,
thank you greatly, Mitzi, for being here. Yeah, I would just like to add that all of these crises, the social, economical, environmental, climate crisis, they're all not only linked, but they're all happening simultaneously. So, in my opinion, it is really sort of a shame that sometimes we hear a bit maybe the movement in Europe and in the global north, that this is something that will happen in the future, and we should be worried about it because it's in our future. But in reality, it's not. It's actually today and in the past, basically, as Noflas just showed. And yeah, so it is people in the global south who are frontline victims of the climate crisis. And most certainly, this white flag represents them, we hope. And we hope our projects are to serve these people as well, before maybe all others. And Mitzi, yes, I see that you said your internet connection dropped. Do you have something to ask? You can also use your video cam. Hello.
Hi. Oh, I actually wanted to ask if white flag for future, is it a global thing or is it just within Lebanon? Because it's a very interesting movement that I've only heard about now, and I wish I'd learned about it more, because you guys gave such good insights, and it's such an important thing to talk about.
If I may answer, yes, actually, I haven't heard about it because it's very young, and we just built it up from scratch in a very short time, basically in the last 1.5 weeks or something. So, but it aims to be global in the end. Like really, it's supposed to attract a lot of partners and bring a lot of programs together. Yes.
Thank you. What other? I had a question. I wrote it down, but I forgot. What do you think that we can do about what's happening? Like, what are your tips for maybe, I don't know, for us in the Philippines? What are your advice?
Well, I think we're a very small movement, especially compared to you. You guys are doing great, and this is why we have you here to get some advice and try to follow your steps on how to make a cause that we're very passionate about reach other people and get together in fighting for climate justice and social equity, as they are linked. But in my opinion, I think we have to somehow up our game on the social equity issue in the global south. So in Lebanon, I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done with the anti-racist movement. And in terms of laws, we have a law that literally allows the enslavement of foreign workers. And I think we should really consider, very seriously abolishing this law because it's not fit for the 21st century. Much less does it help in the fight for climate justice. And I think in a way we could try to unite further and try to reach out to our Filipino friends here in Lebanon. Which unfortunately, I mean, many of them are really in bad situations, locked down at home. Basically, this law means that people that come from places such as the Philippines and Ethiopia and Kenya and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and a variety of different places, because these numbers are quite huge. There are almost 200,000 domestic workers in Lebanon, and we are a population of almost 5 million, and there's almost as well about 1.5 million refugees or 2 million. The statistics are really not clear, but I think uniting these seemingly different groups that we have divided them as such, like foreign workers, refugees, and national citizens. I think that we can have a great impact and be an example to the Philippines, we hope, and to the different countries around the world, that there is no time anymore for nationalism, racism, sexism, war, violence, and all these things that have really dragged us down all throughout. I think today's age is really, and especially today in times of Corona, I would also like to share John's sentiment that it's very unfortunate that the governments are using this opportunity to silence us further and alienate us, even though being environmental activists is already in itself quite hard and frustrating, because we feel not everyone cares a lot. At least here, it's been kind of tough growing. And here as well, during these times of COVID-19, the government has gone on a spree to pass all their most environmentally destructive projects. There's a team of international academics, engineers, whatever, who are, I don't know if they're still there, but they were in lockdown in our shores in an Egyptian ship, drilling thousands of meters below the seashore, below the sea grounds, looking for oil and gas, even though the science basically said that there's a 75% chance that they will hit a dry well. They used the quarantine to go ahead and do that. They also passed on the huge project which Michelle mentioned, which is the Bisri Dam in a historic valley, which has still a lot of archaeological sites and trees which are hundreds of years old. So yeah, I think everything we are doing remains sort of uh, small, but I definitely see the potential of growing through the white flag, I think, and the Revolutionary Climate Week, so that we become again part of the change. And I think that's important to also highlight, because before October 17 and the wildfires during that week, um, we had been striking weekly for the first time, because the FFF movement in Lebanon is still not a weekly thing. Just before October 17, we had been striking every month, doing marches, um, which started growing the movement, and including more people from different backgrounds, and also we saw way many more Arabic banners. So before, I thought we had like a problem of elitism, that we were sort of only reaching out to like private schools in English or in French, and thus their banners were in those languages. But I think towards the end, we really started like, looking at how can we be more present and achieve our demands. And I think everyone coming down on the 17th, Thursday, even though we were planning on striking on the 18th, and funny enough, Martyrs Square on the 18th of October was under my name, because we had a climate strike planned for that day because of the fires. So 3 million people went down to Martyrs Square on October 17, and my name was registered there for that day at the municipality for a climate strike. Obviously, I'm not saying 3 million people joined, but yes.
Oh, you're right, Andrew. Like, our movement has grown a whole lot since it started, and we've done absolutely amazing things. And you're right. I think also we should unite with other movements in other fields to kind of have like a united front and really be part of the change for our societies. And if I may also have a question for both John and Midzi. Like, I mean, you just asked us for tips on and like how to promote your activism and grow as a movement. I mean, I'd like to do the same and ask from tips from you guys on how we can grow and be better here.
I feel like, well, here in the Philippines, we have sort of like this, what do you call it, outline when it comes to organizing people. So it's called the AOM outline. It's called Arouse, Organize, and Mobilize. So essentially what that means is we first work towards arousing people, or essentially making them more aware about the different things. So that usually comes in the form of approaching schools, and of course giving discussions or giving fora about the different things about the environment or the climate. And then from moving on from there, we move to organize. So because we have to understand that, I'm pretty sure you guys are very familiar with this. We can't work alone. We have to work as a group. So we have to put them into an organization, and that organization, for example, is YACAP. And since YACAP is an alliance of organizations, we also try to invite those individuals to join those organizations under YACAP. So we have this broader front, essentially, when it comes to climate action. And then from there, since their people are organized already, we move towards mobilization or mobilizing them. So yeah, we initiate strikes, we have them engage other people in fora. So it's really just a cycle that spirals upward in a sense. And I think it really helps that we have that sort of mindset, because at least we have a framework to what to do first, and essentially how to grow, how to move and continue our movement from there. So I guess that's what we do here in the Philippines.
That's usually my default answer too. So I guess what I'll add on to that is you really need to know how to pique the interest of the people you're talking to. So you need to know your audience. So for us, since we're organize, like our main purpose, our main goal is to organize the Filipino youth. We go to the platforms where they're on. So they're on TikTok, so we put a song out on TikTok. If they're more on Twitter, then we'll be on Twitter. If they're more on Facebook, then we'll be more on Facebook. And assuming that there was no quarantine, we'd also be going to where the people are. So we'd go to the streets, we'll tell them, we'll talk to them, we'll talk to those who are actually vulnerable today to the climate crisis. So the urban poor, the farmers, the fishing community, we go to them and we talk to them and we learn from them because they're already the ones who are experiencing the climate crisis. Fortunately, we can't do that right now, but definitely after all this, we're gonna go back to doing that. We have to always stay in touch with our environment defenders and our urban poor, the vulnerable sectors of society, because they are the ones who are experiencing this. And basically, when we talk to them, we just tell them words for what they're experiencing because they already know what's happening. It's just more of labeling it for them.
That's really, really a good answer. So, like, you tell them the words. This is a very scientific approach, I think, of a way of disseminating the science. And it's absolutely true. Like here in Lebanon, too, I have myself talked to a lot of elderly, for example, in the villages. And they tell you things like, yeah, I mean, I have never seen it snow in April, and this is definitely weird. What the hell is happening? And then you just tell them, yeah, this is climate change. And I think this is what we need to do. We basically need to be able to identify what people are feeling and experiencing to words that they can relate and spread the message however they can. I mean, if it's a grandmother over coffee with her friend, or I mean, if it's a youth over their social media accounts, but just basically to be able to have everyone sort of identify with the climate change story in a way that relates to them personally, and they can say, yes, I'm experiencing this. This is it. So thank you for that. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that was a great insight on how you guys work, and I think we should totally inspire ourselves with that, because I think it's a pretty great advice, and we should work into that more. Although obviously we've been Anders, you've been doing it already, but as a movement, we should aim toward doing this kind of raising of awareness more. And unfortunately, time is running short again. We have 5 minutes left. I mean, time is really running now. This shows how interesting it is. But if anyone wants to add anything, just feel free, and then we can wrap it up.
I just want to ask, نوفرس إذا بدك تسأل شيء هلا لرفاقنا بفلبين أو لإلنا فيك تسأل هلا لأنه بعد لنا 5 دقائق.
السؤال اللي بدي أسأله، كيف فينا نوحد الجهود إذا بدك بجميع أنحاء العالم نوصل هاي الفكرة الحلوة للناس اللي منا عارفين شو تعمل؟ يعني في ناس كتير بتحب البيئة وكتير بتحب تشارك بكتير أمور، بس منا عارفة كيف. فكيف نحن نقدر نوصل لهي الناس، وكيف تقدر نعمل جروبات بكذا منطقة كمان توعي الناس اللي حواليها. بس هيدا سؤال.
اوكي، ولرفاقنا بالفلبين او لميشيل، لانه بفتكر ميشيل في يرد او دوروثيا فيهم يردوا على هذا السؤال.
هيدا السؤال بعتقدش انه في بيسال، يعني لجون ما فيني ما حاساله شيء،
ما فيه جواب يعني.
ما حيقدر.
So Mitzi and John, he's basically asking, he says there's a lot of people around the world that are interested in being in defending the environment, but how can we unify the whole world? وكمان نورس خليني اقول لك انه الجمعه للمستقبل Fridays for Future هيدا هو يلي عم بتجرب تعمله. والحمد لله يعني نحن هون اليوم يعني تحت الامبريلا تبعهم يعني، فبنشكرهم كمان، وبنشكر جريتا ثونبرغ يلي بلشت Fridays for Future.
Thank you for everyone. وإن شاء الله هيك بتكبر السيركل وبتصير أكثر وأكثر.
لعيونك.
Yes. For uniting with France work with Empress, what we have realized lately the impact of centralized initiative. And today, what we need to do is go from centralized initiative to super initiative. So that's something we can see at all levels, because all the activism around the world, that's something that is having super activists and super initiatives around the world, would be doable for now. And the most important thing as an advice that I give you is study social entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, activism, because mixing entrepreneurship practices to activism is something that's gonna have more resources and have a more accelerated impact. And innovation is our ability to disrupt the market. But today there is a market of justice that demands activism. So innovation.
Okay, time out.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap it up. So, I mean, thank you all for joining today. It was a really interesting time discussing all of this with you guys. And the videos, like this entire meeting was recorded. So if any of you want to share, like we're gonna post it on the YouTube channel for Fridays for Future Lebanon. And if any of you are interested to show it to your friends, to your colleagues in your movements, or just in general, watch it again. I mean, you can check it out on our YouTube channel, obviously. And again, thank you all for coming. It was, I had a great time. It was really, really interesting.
Thank you,
guys.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Yes, and let's stay connected.
Definitely.
Be safe.